What's up, people? We are in the last round of the Norway test, and Bibisara won the women's section in the previous round. But in the last round, we have Muzychuk and the two Chinese players with option of ending in the top 3 positions. So let's see what happened in this game between Muzychuk and Divya. Okay, e4 by Muzychuk, c5 and c3. Many people think that c3 is a opening just to make a draw with white, but the Alapin have some interesting lines and some interesting positions to play for win with white, especially because with knight f6, who is the main line and most solid one, after e5 the e5 pawn could give some attack perspective to white, because the e5 pawn is very good to attack the black sword castle. So the Alapin have his interest too, of course. Here other moves are, for example, e5, another normal move, d5, another main move, g6 and e6 are some possibilities. But okay, knight f6 is the more solid move, the recommendation of the machine. Maybe if you want to just equal the position and to play for a draw, maybe it's the most solid move. e5 by Muzychuk, knight d5, d4 takes knight f3. And here, Divya play e6. I prefer this type of position with d6 or knight c6, trying to trade fast the e5 pawn. But okay, e6 is a playable move, but it's not my favorite. e6 by Divya takes d6, bishop c4, knight c6. Everything goes normal till here, bishop b7. And okay, here I want to stop in this position because the development was completely normal for both sides. Just white develop all his pieces. Black goes or castle. He plays the knight in the center, the bishop. And here we have an isolated pawn. And here, who is better, white or black? In my opinion, white is slightly better, specifically because this bishop is close. Because if this pawn wasn't here and was on c6 or something like that, the bishop can be developed and everything is fine for black. But with the bishop on c8, I think that white is still being slightly better. That's why I don't like so much the move of the a6 move here, because you are blockading your bishop. So just white with a normal play, just developing normal his pieces, white reached a very pleasant position here without making nothing. Black is still being fine, but he should play more accurate than white. White is fine with every move, and is black the one who should play more accurate to equalize the game. Here, the best move, I say that only black's problem is the right square bishop. If we manage to activate the right square bishop, we are fine with black. For that reason, the best move here for black was a6, with the idea of play b5 later and activate the bishop. Here, a4 have no so much sense, because we are giving the b4 square for a knight, and now the bishop can be developed via b6 and bishop b7. So a4 have no so much sense. a3 was stronger, because after b5, now we can go back to a2. Takes, and now bishop b7, and this bishop is in open diagonal, so black is fine. Now black have all his pieces well placed. This pawn is controlled, white cannot advance to c4. The position is more or less balanced, so a6 was the best move. And if you didn't want to play a6, you can play b6 with the same idea of activate the bishop. Here white have this great move, knight takes d5, completely changing the position and going for from an isolated pawn to a symmetrical structure. But now bishop b5 and black is putting some pressure. And of course, white take on d5 because black plays b6. It's very typical when black plays b6, take on d5, because the pawn on b6 here have no so much sense. Instead of that, Divya play knight takes c3, who is not my favorite move. And after pawn takes, he played b6 with the idea of activating this bishop. The problem is that now the d4 pawn is not under attack, and black lost his strong central knight on d5. And let's see that all the black pieces are a little bit far from the king, because okay, this bishop is the only one who is defending the king, but the queen is so far, the knight is so far, the bishop is going to be developed here, so it's so far. So I don't like knight d5, because you are losing pieces who are close to the king. Because after takes, now Muzychuk to find a great idea to attack the king, who is knight g5. There are other possibilities, for example, queen c2, with followed by bishop d3 to attack on h7, and if g6, bishop h6, still continue the attack. and now queen d2 with the idea of play bishop f4. For example, rook here, now bishop f4 is fine for white. And the black king is a little bit exposed, of course. Knight a5, knight e5. And we have these aggressive ideas. Or bishop d3 is another possibility, because with the pawn on e6, the bishop on c4 is not so well placed. But knight e5 was a great move by Muzychuk. And here, Divya need to find many great moves to defend the position. She take on g5 with a mistake, just giving the bishop pair, and the white attack should continue. And because the bishop on e7 was the only piece who is defending the black king, so now I have the bishop pair, more development, and great attacking perspectives. So, but okay, the black task to defend was so strong. She should play h6. Okay, h6 is normal, but after knight d4, queen c7, queen g4. Here f5, great move, queen g3, f4. The task for black is very easy, very hard. Sorry, queen d3, knight a5, bishop b3. Okay, here looks like black will be more or less fine, but white is still being slightly better. But this was all the best move for black to defend. Bishop d3 followed by queen h5 was another idea, just showing how hard it is for black to defend the position. Deep jab take on g5, giving the bishop pair, but the problem is that white attack continues. And here she played bishop b7, who looks logic, just developing the bishop, but the problem is that allows queen g4 with a devastating attack. The last hope for black to try to hold the position was h6, bishop c1. Now bishop b7, for example, or just play a5 directly, just avoiding queen g4. Yes, this was maybe the best option for black to defend the position, because after bishop b7, just queen g4, and white is completely winning in just 15 moves. It's strange in these grandmaster level games that player is just winning in 15 moves. By the way, this especially with the Alapin, who is considered a solid and quiet opening, but white is just winning here with queen g4. Rook fc8 and bishop f6. If black doesn't move the rook, white just can attack g7 like this, and if g6, rook is hanging. So for that reason, she moved the rook, bishop f6. The huge problem of black position is that this bishop is a completely beast. Black cannot face this bishop. When f8, queen d3, the attack is still g6, and now another great move by Anna Muzychuk, d5, opening the diagonal for the queen and opening the e5 for the rook. Queen d7, and now when all your pieces are well placed, okay, this rook is not so well placed, but white have useful things to do. So all these pieces are so well placed, black have no active moves. So h4, great move by Anna Muzychuk. When you have everything well placed, you should just push the h pawn and win the game. Rook e8, h5, still pushing. Knight a5, bishop e7, queen e7, rook e3, great move to avoid the rook straight and activate the rook. Queen c3, rook e1, second pawn sacrifice of Muzychuk, but she doesn't care, she's just playing very active. Queen c8, trying to trade queen, of course we should avoid the trade. Takes, and now the queen just return. For example, bishop f6 is now the threat, and queen h8 is coming. For that reason, she should play king g7, but Muzychuk take a exchange, and she won this endgame. Okay, I'm going to show the end of the game more or less fast, but okay, the rest was so easy. She grab a pawn, and this is very simple to win. So, great game of Anna Muzychuk, who finally won again, because she made 9 draws in the first 9 games. She had good results in the Armageddons. I analyzed some of them in the channel, but this victory allows she to reach the 3rd place in the Norway chess. She won the event last year, but okay, Invictum 3 position this year was a good result. Divya Desmond had a bad tournament, finishing in the 5th position. So let's see if in the next tournament she is going to play better. Bye bye.